Hi there, I'm Shannon.
I'm Cynthia. We're from Country Concessions in Cookstown, and we are filming this video for the Lockdown Looney Shop Hop.
An online shop hop.
Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
We are at our brand new store, 35 King Street North, right in the village of Cookstown, and King Street is Highway 27, if King Street means nothing to you. We do have a sign on the building now, so we're a little bit easier to find, and we hope that you'll be able to come and see us sometime soon. We are open for in-store shopping now, only 10 people at a time, but that seems to be working out pretty well. We have only had a lineup once, which is very nice. And we're open our regular store hours, 10 to 5 Monday to Saturday and 1 to 4 on Sunday.
So we're demoing some products today. If you want to order, you can do so online. Our website is www.countryconcessions.com. You can either have your product shipped to you, or you can have it picked up in the store, and when you pop in to pick up your stuff, you can have a little look around the store. We are going to take you on a quick tour when we're done our demos, but it's so much better in person.
It really is.
It is, absolutely. The other stores that are participating in the shop hop this time are Threads That Bind in Maxwell, Cobwebs and Caviar in Shelburne, and Quilt Junction in Waterford. You can find the information in the email that was sent out to you, or you can find the information near this video below on our website with the websites of the other stores. So without further ado, I am going to talk about a new template. It's called the Stretched Periwinkle template. It's from Missouri Star Quilt Company. Most of you are probably familiar with that.
Step back, give you a little more.
Okay. Missouri Star Quilt Company has fantastic tutorials online. Mine, not to say mine's not going to be fantastic today, but theirs is a little more thorough, and they go into greater detail than I'm going to tell you about today. So if you want to check that out, you can find that online as well. So the Stretched Periwinkle template, if you look in the background, makes a quilt that looks like this. So thank you, Vanna. This was made using a layer cake. You use 36 squares out of the 42 that you get in a layer cake, and I think 3.5 yards of background. You can do it without the pattern, but it's much easier to do it with the pattern. And the pattern also explains to you how you can use the cutoffs from what you do to make 2 alternate table runners, which I will now show you. So, very, very easy to do. It's kind of fun to do too. You take your 10-inch square from your layer cake, or you can use scraps if you want. Everyone's got scraps, you can use those. And you put the template, line it up on the edges, and you cut down both sides so that you've got your main star piece. And you save the offcuts for the table runners. Then you add trim or sides to both edges of your star piece. You simply do a 1/4 inch down each side. I can't line that up quite right. 1/4 inch down the side, and you flip them open. And that gives you a unit that looks like this. And then you simply take a square ruler and you square it up to 10 inches. Quick, simple, and easy to do. You make 35 more of those, sew them together, and you have yourself a quilt. The Stretched Periwinkle template is $34.99. The pattern that goes along with it is $9.99. Another little tool that you can use to make this quilt that you will find very handy is this Nylon Mallet. Seems a little crazy to have it as a quilting tool, but it works wonderfully. You'll notice that there's a lot of intersections where those bulky seams meet, and sometimes you get a real knot, if you will. It's a real bump. So you just take the mallet.
Take out your frustrations.
Take out your frustrations on your quilt. You don't do it on the wall, obviously. I might regret that afterwards when I take the quilt down and there's marks in the wall. Yeah. But you just do it on the table, and it really does make a difference. It makes the seams nice and flat. And it doesn't have to just be seams that are extra bulky. You can use it on all of your seams. You just give them a little smack, and it flattens them right out. So it's a great tool to have. And the mallet is regular $17.99, and for the shop hop, all of our products that we're talking about today are 15% off, which makes this $15.29.
Awesome.
Very.
We have some other tools that are also really helpful when you are pressing any piece block or embroidered pieces, machine embroidered, or anything that's hand worked as well. Cross stitch, needlepoint, anything like that. These are great as well. These are felted wool mats and a pressing bar. We've got the two things. I'm going to tell you about the pressing bar first because it is especially useful when you have intersecting seams like we have in the periwinkle quilt where you want to just isolate a particular seam that you're going to press. I'm going to bring this out closer to the camera so you can see the profile. It's very unique. This is made by a company called Woolly Felted Wonders. So this is a wool felt mat that is adhered to an arched piece of doweling. And then on the bottom there's just a flat piece of really fine wood. It's beautifully finished, that you use as a clapper. So this is how you isolate the individual seams. So I've got a piece of stitching here that has lots and lots of seams on the back, and I'm going to just isolate one over the top of the pressing bar, and you can see how that seam sort of sticks up, and it's the only seam that you're going to be pressing if you press on top of that arched piece of doweling with the wool felt on the top, because it's just letting that one seam sit there, so you can give it a good press without getting the other seams bent in ways you don't want them to go. Then once that seam is pressed, it's going to be nice and hot, and you can lay this part of the wood down on top of it as a clapper, and it just puts enough pressure on that as the seam cools down, that's going to flatten it out even more. So it puts a really great press on those very busily pieced blocks. The wool pressing mats that we've got here, there's two different mats, and these are from a company called 13 Cats that I just think is awesome. I love their logo. This is a Canadian company, so we're all about supporting Canadian small business where we can. So 13 Cats are made in the St. Catharines area, southwestern Ontario. This is a dense felted wool mat. So it's about a 1/2 inch thick. You can see how thick that is. And it's really firm, and it's 100% natural wool. So the great thing about the wool pressing mats is they absorb the heat from your iron. So when you're pressing on the top, either with a dry or a wet iron, the heat's going to be absorbed by the wool, and you almost get a double press. So when you put your fabric over top and then your iron on top of that, it's getting a press from both the underside and the top side, and it presses your seams so flat it has to be seen to be believed. They're wonderful. I've got one at home. I don't press anything without it anymore because it does such a great job. I like using it with steam, and it does have the wonderful fresh scent of wet sheep. But it's a very, very slight odor. You can use it with a dry iron though if you prefer, but it's just such a great tool to use for your pressing. These can be washed. You can just wash it in the sink or by hosing it down with the shower. You can hang it to dry, so you can use binder clips and put it over a clothesline or something and just hang it up, or leave it flat to dry, flipping it from time to time. What else do I have to tell you about that? This is the most popular size, 14 by 14. And then we also have a much bigger one. This is 18 by 24. So the 18 by 24 is $99.99, and with your 15% off, that is $84.99. The 14 by 14 is $54.99 and on sale for $46.74. Wonderful investment piece. You will use this, say, every time you press. The pressing bar is the same kind of wool felt as over the top here, and they are $63.99, I think it is. Yep, $63.99, and with your 15% off of that as well. Great, great products.
The last thing we have to talk about today, to share with you, second last thing we are sharing with you, I'm sorry, I butted right in there, are our dye catcher sheets. These look like dryer sheets, but they're not used in the dryer. They go in the washing machine, and they catch any extra dye that may come off your fabric. So you can use them if you pre-wash your fabric when you get home from the quilt shop and you pre-wash your fabric. You can throw them in if you're washing a quilt and you're worried that there's some fabric in there that might have a little extra dye that would run into the other colors. And you can also use it with your clothing. So they are wonderful. It depends on how much dye you think might be in your wash load as to how many dryer sheets you use, or sorry, not dryer, dye catcher sheets you use. Usually one's enough, but you can use up to 2 or 3. There's some instructions on the back. There are 20 sheets in here, and they are $9.99, and they're just wonderful.
Yeah.
Cynthia used one.
I used one just last night, and I was impressed how much dye that was collected into that sheet, and there was certainly no running at all in the item that I washed. So it worked really, really well.
Yeah, they're good.
We sell a ton of
We
those
do.
things.
They're fabulous.
The other thing that has become exceptionally popular, many of you may have seen this. This is the new style of misting bottle. This is from Mary Ellen's, who makes the Best Press product. And you can fill this with your Best Press. Any sort of spray starch solution, there's Best Press, there's Flatter, there's a number of different ones. And this puts out such a fine mist, and I'm going to come a little closer and spray. I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see it exactly or not, but if you give it a good press, you can see it's a very, very fine mist, but it disperses beautifully over a wider area. So not only does your product go further, but it's very evenly distributed over the surface of whatever you're pressing. So what's unique about this spray bottle is it has a sac within the outside housing that you fill with your product, and it creates a vacuum when you use the spray so that it's drawing equally whether the bottle is newly filled or whether it's almost empty, and it just keeps on going. The whole time you're pushing in on that nozzle, it is putting out this wonderful fine disbursement of the product. So it works really, really well. You can use it for all sorts of things for your pressing. We also use it for our sanitizer. This actually has sanitizer in it, so I'm not going to spray all over the place here. But it just puts out such a fine spray. You can just spray around and it's not making everything soaking wet or clumps of stuff coming out. They're great. It is $15.99 and less your 20%. Now, one other item we wanted to show you, but unfortunately it didn't arrive on time. We've had them before. There is a special funnel that they've made that literally just screws on the top. When you take that off, the hole is relatively small, but the funnel just fits over the outside of that and lets you fill the bottle with product really, really easily. The funnel's well worth getting. It's $6.99, so it's not an expensive item, but it just makes it so much easier to fill the bottle. It has a little ring on the top as well that you can pop over the top of your bottle of Best Press or Flatter or whatever you happen to be using when you're filling up your misting bottle. And the funnels are $6.99 less your 15%.
All right, so that's it for the products. I'm going to
So
put
we'll
my
get our
mask
mask back
on,
on.
and we're going to give you a quick tour of our new store.
So hang on for a second, we're right there. Okay. I'll say hi while Shannon grabs the camera. All right, so we are going to start
Kind of at
over
the back,
this
I guess
way.
we are, yes.
So our aisles are really nicely spaced out. So the wonderful thing is you can step back and really see the fabric.
You can. We'll go up to the front door and give you a look.
We're going to come over here. When you walk in the front door, we've set up our colorway so that you have a wonderful view from the front door of the whole colorway. And lots of displays in the middle for inspiration. We try to put our new